Hello and welcome to Rev Sports. It's the beginning of the third day of the test match between India and England. Yesterday, we saw India posting a total of 445 runs on the scoreboard, and England so far are already halfway there with 207 runs, including a brilliant baseball esque century from Ben Duckett. It'll be interesting to see just how the Indian bowling lineup stops England from taking a lead on Rajkot's sporting wicket, especially with no Ravi Ashwin in the mix anymore, as he had to go back to his home due to personal reasons. We'll discuss all that before the match starts. Till then, let me introduce my guests. Atra Mukhopadhyay joins us from Rajkot, Shomik Chakravarti, and Shubhai Chakravarti. Atra, before we discuss the details of the match and the tell us about what's it like in Rajkot today. Less crowd, more crowd.
No, it's noticeably less. The turnout so far, it appears as if it's going to be less the previous days. Although it's a holiday here, I mean schools and offices are closed, but possibly because India are not in a dominant position, possibly because of that. So far, I mean, what I have seen so far is the lowest in the 3 days so far, and although it might pick up, it might increase as the day go as days wears on. But as of now, we can safely say that the turnout for this test match has been lowest on this day so far. Kadi.
Yes, and Shubhayan, now the biggest talking point right now is Ashwin's absence. For the remainder of the game, India is allowed to have a substitute, but there's a catch because the substitute will not be allowed to bat or bowl unless they get an agreement from Ben Stokes. And this is seriously something that could hamper the Indian team. Talk about that.
I have not read anywhere that a player can be substituted during the match unless it is forced by COVID or concussion. So it is clearly written in black and white that you can only have a playing substitution if it is forced by concussion or COVID-19. So it is pretty clear that India will have to play with 10 players going forward in this test match. So but it will be a huge blow for India. I don't think we will have a substitution. We just can't bend the laws as we can't bend the written laws, what is written there. So India will have to play with 10 men, and it's a huge blow.
Yes, and Shomik, going into this match, how do you think Rohit Sharma can make sure the Indian bowling lineup is just as penetrative as before with no Ravi Ashwin?
First, India need a positive mindset that so far this test, especially yesterday, what we have seen, India had been dawdling, and only one team was playing, that is England. India was sort of hanging in there. This is not common in India in test matches in India where India always have the upper hand. But this is a kind of different thing because England are pressing on the accelerator, and Rohit Sharma's captaincy, first of all, yesterday was very reactive. Um, Obviously, it should be a big miss because from today's form, we expect Frank to go for it. But what to do? It's a coach transfer, and he has to return home because of emergency. So thoughts are with him and his family. Now, what India have will have to make do. They will have to hope for a magic spell from Bumrah, because he is India's main man as far as taking wickets are concerned. And apart from that, Kuldeep and Kuldeep will have to chip in. Kuldeep and Jadeja would be a restricted option, but Kuldeep will have to chip in. That is the only. And if India can't take 2-3 wickets in the first session today, I think the game will be gone. If England bat for 90 overs today, then they will pile up another 450 runs and will be in a position to declare.
And Atra, what do you think? Is there a way for India to overcome this hurdle?
Well, first of all, it's a major absence. Ashwin cannot be replaced. I mean, either obviously bowling and also in batting. But sometimes what we have seen in sports, not just in cricket, when a team suffers a setback like this, somebody goes out. Others somehow get charged up. They sometimes they try and come up with an urge to surpass themselves. So that is something India will have to bank on right now because others will have to do something extra to fill up that absence of Ashwin. And it's easier said than done. Now, I mean, nobody can match Ashwin's skills in this bowling lineup. So, having said that, India has no choice. I mean, their bowlers will have to do something extra and take that additional responsibility on their shoulders and play out of their skills to make a match of this. Rajiv.
Yes, and Shubhayan, now the responsibility falls on Ravindra Jadeja and Kuldeep Yadav. They have to make sure, that they're getting those runs. Sorry, they're getting those wickets. How does this change the dynamics of the whole team?
It does because Ashwin is a huge player. It's a massive player. He can bowl long spells. He's a master. He's a legend. 500 plus test wickets. It's any team in this world will miss Ashwin. Not only India or any other team. Any team. If you have Ashwin and he's not available, then it comes as a huge miss. Especially when you can't really replace him. I still don't know the rule because I'm just reading that I was reading the MCC law book here, and it's there's a bit of lack of clarity whether the player can be replaced or not if it is for personal reasons other than COVID or concussion. Anyway, but otherwise, and even for Jadeja and Kuldeep, if they bowl longer spells, but they will have to rotate between the pacers and spinners now, unless they go to someone like a Sarfaraz or Yashasvi and throw them the ball, which is unlikely. Even if they throw them the ball, it will be for shorter bursts just to give others a rest. But let's see how they tackle the Indian team management. Captain Rohit Sharma tackled this absence because the way England were batting yesterday, India would have banked on Ashwin to turn things around today.
And Shomek, now with Ashwin gone in England, the way that they're accelerating, are you feeling like the runs on the scoreboard may not be enough?
Uh, as I said, Gavi, if India can manage to take 2 3 wickets in the first session, they can they will be able to pull things back. Otherwise, this game is gone in the sense. Then India will have to fight to save this test match. Ashwin said
Hmm.
in his presser last evening that the outcome of this game will be determined by how India bat in the third innings, and that I think 10 players with 10 players, India can play with 11, but unless there is something unusual and there is something special, and if there is an approach, for example, from the Indian team to the England camp and Ben Stokes accepting to that and allowing India a replacement for Russian, which is unlikely because black and white you cannot do that. So then India will have to bat with 10. They have to bat out of this to save this test match. I think given that India have lost Ashwin in this test. If India fail to get a breakthrough in the first session, India should go on. India should go on defensive and should play still two more test matches to play. So India should play for a draw because this pitch is still very very good, and I think they just should allow this test to meander along and bat big in the third innings and then settle for a draw. And then they will see in Ranchi and Dharamshala.
Yes, Athro, the third session is a bit far away for now, but Ashwin's absence also leaves us with one less batter. And with the partnership that he had with Jurel yesterday, Ashwin is important.
Undoubtedly, I mean, Ashwin is not exactly a firebrand all-rounder, but he's a very reliable all-rounder. We all know what he can do with the ball. No point in elaborating on that. But his batting will obviously be missed. I mean, if you see that in this series, he hasn't got a 50 yet. But I think in all 5 innings so far, he has chipped in with something. 20 or a 30 he has done that. And yesterday also, that was a very crucial partnership. And as Shomik said, and Subhan said, that according to rules, you cannot replace him. Only if Ben Stokes on humanitarian or sporting grounds allows India to replace him, then only India can have a replacement. That's That's not part of the rules, but that is possible, and that is the only way that India can have somebody. Going by rules, no chance.
And Shubayan, how important right now is it to make sure that Ben Duckett is back in the pavilion?
India will have to pick up two, three early wickets. Otherwise, it will be a long day for the Indian bowlers out there on the field if they don't pick up at least a couple of wickets in the first hour or so before the drinks break. Because without Ashwin and remember this will be the first time Ravindra Jadeja would be bowling without Ravichandran Ashwin on the field on in a home test. So that is also a challenge for Ravindra Jadeja, the player, because he has had a constant support, a big support from the other end in the name of Ashwin for all the test matches he has played in home country. So that will be a challenge for Jadeja as well. But let's see how they tackle. As I said, if India fail to pick up a couple of wickets early on, then this pitch, the way it is playing, it will be a long day because it is suiting the way England wants to bat. They are constantly putting pressure on the Indian bowlers, playing at a rate of more than 6 runs per over. It's a huge compliment to the way England wants to execute their plan, and I think without Ashwin it will be far more easier for the likes of Ben Duckett to keep on going if Bumrah or others don't remove him early.
Yes, and Shomik, who are your hopes pinned on among the Indian bowlers to do well?
In Ashwin absence, it has to be Bumrah. If he can come up with a magical spell, then India can pull things back. Otherwise, I think England will take the game away from India. And mind, a big run from a big score from Joe Root is due also. And Joe Root, and this is the most baseball friendly pitch that has been on offer in this series so far. Um, a big score from Root is due. And from a neutral point of view, this is very exciting. The way England have been batting from a neutral point of view, this is very exciting. And if Root can regain his mojo, then we can say from India's perspective, just good luck with that. But once again, as you said, as you asked me, Gagi, India's hope spin on Jasprit Bumrah, and if he can come up with a magical spell, that's the only hope. Otherwise, by close of play, England will be closer to 600 or maybe past 600, and India will be serious pressure.
And Acho, who do you think is the most dangerous batter that India needs to get rid of?
Well, at the moment, definitely Ben Duckett, but he's not the only one. England do not rely on one or two. They have quite a few who are capable of following the philosophy of batting that they do. So, but at the moment, yes, Ben Duckett, and then of course Joe Root. I mean, as Tomik said, he's due for a big score. He has 100 at this ground, and in the past, and so from India's point of view, every wicket is important. And another thing I would like to say that it's not about any one bowler, any Bumrah or Jadeja or anybody. Sometimes adversities bring the best out of you. And India are in a corner position now. So it's time for all four of them to give their best. It's not about one bowler or two bowlers. Like it's not about one batsman or two batters. That's right.
You're on mute, Gargi.
With the challenge that India has right now, Shubhai, and knowing Rohit Sharma, what do you think you'll be telling those players, in the hurdle? What would be going on in the dressing room right now?
I feel for Rohit Sharma actually because suddenly to lose a bowler of a caliber of Ashwin is a huge blow. And what would you say? You would wrap Ravindra Jadeja and Kuldeep Yadav close to your shoulders and say, "Bhai, please save us. Otherwise, it's going to be a long day. Bowl well, bowl your hearts out. Otherwise, these guys are going to hammer us all day because the way the pitch is playing." And as Shomek said, Jasprit Bumrah will have to stand up in this case because yesterday also we saw him bowling those deliveries which were kicking off from good length deliveries. If he can at least pull off something magical, one spell where he picks up a couple of wickets, then India will be back on track. Because otherwise, if you look at the batting unit after this Johnny Bairstow, Ben Stokes, Ben Foakes, it's a good batting lineup, and
Yeah.
even if a couple of them can get going, then I think England will easily go past the 500 total the way they are batting.
And Shomik, what do you predict? How many wickets do you think will come in the first session?
Gongi, rather than making a prediction about how many wickets, because we have seen in the first 2 days wickets fell in the first session when there was moisture and some nip on the surface. But rather than making a prediction for how many runs will come in the first session or how many wickets, I would like to say that the first session of the entire test match is a huge test for Kohli as far as his captaincy is concerned. Yesterday, he was
Mm.
not on top of his game regarding captaincy, as after wrote a beautiful piece on how Ashwin was brought into the attack out only after Ben Duckett crossed his half century. Ashwin himself spoke about that in the press conference, saying, "I would have loved to bowl to Ben Duckett when he was on zero, rather than when he was out there, when he was had his eye in." So Ashwin himself said that he was not on top of it. So to pull things back, he'll be proactive, and if he is proactive, he can make amends. Then I think India will holding this game and wickets, and they can stem the run flow also.
And I think that wraps up our conversation. I don't think we've heard anything from England on whether or not Ben Stokes has agreed for a like-to-like replacement for Ashwin, but we'll find that out soon enough. And also, play starts in a few minutes, so we'll take your leave. That's it from us. Stay tuned to Rev Sports.